Giving Up, Part 1. Maha Rahathun Wadi maga Osse, On the Trail of Arahat, by Most Venerable Rajagiri Aryañana Thero. Note by the Reverend Thero. May this humble effort be a help, strength and a path only for those skillful clergy and the laymen who, having clearly understood the dreadfulness of this ruthless, harsh and dreadful journey of samsara, are trying hard with much determination and perseverance to realize the Four Noble Truths within this lifespan itself. May one apply this to one's life to the extent that one comprehends. If there are mistakes in meanings or grammar, may you not collide with what's not your fault. If there aren't any mistakes, may you see what's right as right. Through all the meanings set out in this, may there be virtue and good on all of you. May one be a help unto one's own self. This work is dedicated to my revered mentor, Most Venerable Doddampahala Chandrasiri Mahanayaka Thero, and all venerable bhikkhus who were towers of strength behind me during this worthy course. And may all of them be blessed with good health and longevity, and realize Four Noble Truths within this life itself. Obtain a kamatahan from the Lord Buddha. Giving Up, Chapter 1. In this very precious period of time when you have come to associate with Buddha's dispensation, we, lay Buddhist and Buddhist monks, mostly endeavor to shoulder the weight of and to protect the sasana, the Buddhist order. The fatigue you feel from depriving the daily sleep, your consistent participation in period chanting, delivery of sermons, almsgivings, maintenance of temple buildings, religious festivals, social services with its duties, etc., may be viewed by you as tiredness resulting from your effort to carry the weight of protecting and propagating the sasana. This, however, is a misconception. In reality, the Buddha Sasana cannot be a burden to you. It is a thing that frees all burdens from you and provides consolation. Our determination should be not to shoulder the burden or the weight of the dispensation, but to experience the freedom and the lightness of this dispensation. So if you feel any tiredness or weight while you are practicing the Buddhist principles, then it is an indication of incorrect practice. This question must be kept in the forefront. You should be humble so as to think about the correct or the incorrect path. But if you are searching for pleasure, happiness and good health for your life, then definitely you will feel the heaviness and will feel tired, because you are searching for something that doesn't really exist. Why we should become Buddhist and Buddhist monks is to bear the ease and lightness of the Buddha's dispensation. When practicing this teaching, if we feel a weight or a tiredness, then we wouldn't need it. When monks and lay disciples perform material practices in a correct manner, when they honor the supramundane Lord Buddha in majestic fashion with material offerings, as a result of the merit of such practices and offerings, the four requisites of life will come flowing in. That is not a miracle. It is what you get in return in this very life itself, as a meritorious result of the trust and respect you offer to Lord Buddha, and as a result of the power of Lord Buddha. We can see this prosperity in the fortunate society very often. But when fortune flows in due to the result of merit, we get ourselves entangled. This prosperity and fortune flows in order for you to have more and more devotion to Lord Buddha, and thereby to move forward with trust and faith on the path of virtue, concentration and wisdom, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, that was taught by the Lord Buddha. Through this prosperity, trust is gained to show you that if this is done, then this is gained. Here is the point where you must be skillful to incline from material offerings into principles and practice. However, we, so as to cling to the material prosperity, get stuck in the material offerings. Thereby more and more prosperity flows in. Finally, this fortune of requisites grabs us, gets hold of us. This situation leads you to reside where you thought the happiness lies, makes it a resting place, rather than continuing your journey to Nibbana through the path of Sila, Samadhi and Panya. You see no fault in this situation. Now you are intoxicated with this prosperity, fortune, and you cannot see beyond. You become short-sighted. You cannot see that path of Panya which lies further ahead. Why? Because you are walking backwards now. Turning your back to the light, groping in the darkness, what are we searching for? We are searching for the elusive happiness and a fortune of prosperity that doesn't really exist. The dimensions, the limit, the satisfaction, the unsatisfactoriness of the happiness and prosperity of the fortune you are searching for lies within you. The judge of these is your constantly rising and ceasing impermanent mind. But you keep looking in the world for that happiness and comfort which certainly would never be found. The devoted trust you have for Lord Buddha is what shows you the path for you to both receive as well as to relinquish. You need to be skillful in this instance. How? To be rid of the gains and instead to see the Lord Buddha, who has shown the path for you to receive the benefits and the luxuries of the four requisites of life. When the Lord Buddha has given you the opportunity to see Him, you tirelessly keep wasting your time searching for this elusive happiness. When you are fatigued and busy, at that moment ask yourself, aren't I looking for that non-existent happiness too? For what purpose do all human beings exhaust themselves 24 hours a day? They exhaust themselves to possess things, for them to further accumulate. And to possess what? To accumulate and possess more comfort, happiness, responsibilities, leadership, etc. In fact, not only humans but also the animals are struggling, exhausting themselves in search of comfort and happiness. Devas in the heavens too, having descended to the Deva worlds, indulge in the divine comforts, divine nutrition due to the desire for such comforts. Due to having assumed that such comfort is eternal, permanent, thus going behind and chasing after further comfort and happiness, the ultimate thing that they accumulate is craving. Through this craving, it is only demerit, unwholesome sin that is born. In this journey of searching for unsuccessful, fruitless happiness, all beings unknowingly fall into the four hells and thereby are subject to infinite suffering. Even those Brahmas who live in the Brahma worlds associating the wrong view and not having taken the refuge in the triple gem are subject to fall into the four hells and subject to this infinite suffering. Other than those Brahmas or Devas who have taken the refuge in the triple gem, all other beings are subject to the same fate in this pursuit of happiness. Divine prosperity is short compared to the lengthy sufferings of the four hells. Devas in the heavenly realms, due to continuously indulging in infinite sensual joy, being more and more greedy for such sensual prosperity, due to chasing after the sensual pleasures with vigorous desire, and due to the continuous increasing of the craving, they accumulate demerit. Due to this reason, they quickly diminish in their divine prosperity. There is a great chance of devas yet again falling into the four hells. Therefore, the divine happiness is short. Those beings that live in the four hells, because of the suffering they endure, enmity, ill will, anger and hate are the means of their livelihood. Because of this, in every moment of their life, they only accumulate a vast amount of demerit, unwholesome sin. And as a result, due to the growing demerit, those beings fall from suffering to further suffering. They become patrons of the four hells. Even the Brahmas in the Brahma celestial worlds, although they have the opportunity for enlightenment the moment they see and reflect on the impermanence of the samadhi they experience, they lock themselves out of the doors of enlightenment by assuming that the samadhi is permanent and looking for its joy. In the Brahma world, Brahma realms, there are also Brahma with the wrong view. They, due to their development of the highest forms of Sila and Samadhi when in the human world, have earned the pleasures of the Brahma. Nevertheless, they have not taken refuge in the triple gem, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha within the Buddha's dispensation. They are non-Buddhists. These Brahma have not developed wisdom, Panya. They are immersed in ignorance, Avidya. Hence, they are subject to fall into the four hells yet again. Since they have developed the Sila, conduct and Samadhi concentration to the highest level, as a result they can enjoy the bliss of the Brahma realms for many eons. At some point in time, if they happen to meet the triple gem, take refuge in the triple gem, develop wisdom, attain stream entry, the fruit of Sohan Phala, they have the ability to realize Nibbana in that Brahma world itself. Until such time, they too are a group who are searching for the non-existent pleasures in the world. They have trained and developed renunciation during their human lives, and they have done so not because of wisdom, but because of the greed for the state of Samadhi, because of the craving, because of the belief that even though they renunciate all other sensual happiness, the joy of Samadhi is permanent. All beings that are in search of pleasures are in a journey where satisfaction will never be realized. Look at your own room or hut. Are there any comfortable chairs, tables, bedding, carpets, radio, food or medicine? All these are for your self-respect, comfort and pleasure. That means you are always with a second person, not alone or by yourself. Think for a while as to how far are you from the concept or the boundary of the three robes and the bowl. To that extent, craving has become such a close friend so as to void your solitude. Although in past lives we have become the universal monarch, kings, premiers and ministers so many times in this samsara, and there we have experienced majestic prosperity to the maximum, yet in the present we are in a race to find untried tastes and sensual comforts because of the unawareness of what we had experienced throughout the samsara. Throughout samsara, when you became the universal monarch, and also at the time of parting from that life of a universal monarch, you were never satisfied with that majestic comfort and prosperity. And because of that, colliding with craving, repeatedly you fell into the journey of finding prosperity and sensual comforts. Now you are traveling in that same path. And who dragged you into this path is none other than your own ignorant mind, your greedy mind, ungrateful mind, the indiscriminate mind, that mind of yours which rises and falls, which strays after sensual comforts. Because of this greed, the distance you have already journeyed and the distance you are destined to journey cannot be expressed in figures. Whoever you may be, aren't you striving for this comfort and prosperity? Isn't it because your mind commanded you to do so that you took this article to read? Is that mind still there now? That mind has ceased now. That mind doesn't belong to you, does it? Isn't it a stranger to you? But at some moment in the past, didn't you activate that mind thinking that it was permanent and belonged to you? Through that, didn't you acquire a wholesome, meritorious or an unwholesome, demeritorious state? Aren't both these states of mind taking you to further being, bhava? Therefore, each and every state of mind that is not seen as impermanent, anicca, journeys you in the samsara, doesn't it? At one particular juncture during your endeavor towards achieving Nibbana, the perception of the Lord Buddha will appear to you, and that is a definite. Having appeared, the Lord Buddha will give you a kamatahan for you to complete the rest of your journey to achieve the Nibbana. This is given by the Lord Buddha himself. The kamatahana given by the Lord Buddha is the one that tells you to see the present mind as impermanent. Since it emanates through a perception of the Lord Buddha, you will strongly feel it and comprehend it. And at the same time, you will see the mind through which you saw the Lord Buddha as impermanent. Both the physique and the kamatahana of the Lord Buddha would be seen as impermanent. And this is a definite thing bound to happen in the development of wisdom within you. Here, what you see as the perception of the Lord Buddha is the wisdom that develops within you. Here you will realize thoroughly that the wisdom and the Lord Buddha are not two separate things but one and the same. In fact, we don't usually think that the Lord Buddha and the wisdom is one and the same. However, in your journey towards achieving Nibbana, you will comprehend this truth. If the Lord Buddha were alive today, it must be the same kamatahana that you will receive. Observe the mind which comes into existence as impermanent. Do not soak it with craving, allowing it to be activated. What you have done so far and also what you are doing at the moment is activating this mind, soaking it with craving. See how fortunate you are, although it is 2600 years since the passing away of the Lord Buddha. If you are clever enough, you can get a kamatahan from the Lord Buddha. You can see the Lord Buddha, get protection from the Lord Buddha, console yourself from the same path of Dhamma as did the Lord Buddha. Even by offering 84,000 flowers, chopsticks and requisites, what you see is only the prosperous, luxurious, divine and human perceptions. Those perceptions lead to more being, further existence. But when you observe and see that mind as impermanent or ceasing, then what you see is the Dhamma. What you see is the true nature of the world. But if that ability or strength has not yet sprouted or developed within you, then what you should do is to attend to the above meritorious practices so as to develop that strength. However, you should not be a Buddhist who stagnates and resides at the same place. You should be a Buddhist who is working to achieve the realization through experiencing and seeing for yourself. Puthagjana, the common man who hasn't realized the Dhamma, is extremely fond of delaying. Even in the past, he only delayed the practice. Majority of Buddhists, even at present, wishes and hopes to achieve Nibbana by listening to the Dhamma during the time of Maitreya Buddha. Whether you are a monk or a lay Buddhist, by wishing in this manner, what you see is not the Maitreya Buddha, but the ignorance. You are wishing for ignorance. But if you see that mind which commanded you to achieve Nibbana in the time of Maitreya Buddha by listening to the Dhamma of the Maitreya Buddha as an impermanent mind, a mind which has arisen and fallen, then what you really see is the Maitreya Buddha, the Dhamma to be preached by the Maitreya Buddha. See the miracle of Dhamma. Today, at this very moment, you can see and experience the Dhamma that is to be preached by Maitreya Buddha. But because of the ignorance you possess within you, you are trying to journey multi-eons further in this samsara, enduring suffering. See how much beings are deceived by ignorance? When the opportunity exists at this very moment to see the Maitreya Buddha and the Dhamma to be preached by the Maitreya Buddha, our mind, which is greedy for existence, is dragging us to further suffering. By saying it is leading us to show Maitreya Buddha, it shows us the ignorance. Be skillful to always see the arising mind as impermanent. Be clever to see that the mind is not something that belongs to you. Be clever to see the mind as a stranger to you. See the mind as your friend who gives you the suffering. When you see the mind in this manner, what grows within you is Satara Satipatthana,
the 4 stations of mindfulness.
What you comprehend, understand is the Panchupadanaskandha,
the 5 clinging aggregates.
Paticca Samuppada,
the dependent origination.
Saptabojjhanga Dharma,
the 7 factors of enlightenment.
You don't need to go searching for them, no need to learn them. When you see a rising mind as impermanent, the above facts will grow effortlessly within you. You will come to realize them. The one who does not see the impermanent nature of the mind goes behind meditation classes or discourses in search of the above facts. But what he searches for is something that is there within him. Leave all these searches behind. Search for and see only this impermanent mind which activates this physical body formed by the mighty 4 great elements and tends towards a corpse. In that manner, what you search for and see is the true Dhamma here and now. If you want to go to Kataragama, what you should do is to go to the bus stop, get on the bus to Kataragama and buy a ticket. Then the bus will take you to Kataragama. On your journey to Kataragama, if you observe the surroundings passing by, you will notice the Kalutara Bodhiya, the Gaul harbour, the salt pan of Hambantota and the great pagoda of Tissa Maharamaya. However, without getting on the bus, if you endeavour to get to know the details and information and find out the descriptions of all of the above from the people at the bus stop or from a road map, you would miss the bus and would be deserted. In this same way, keep observing your mind. Then you will see the 4-fold mindfulness, the Panchupadanaskandha, the Paticca Samuppada and the Saptabojjhanga Dharma. We'll realize them, comprehend them. You should not go for tuition searching for them. Look at the mind. Mind is that which is impermanent. The world, the beauty, the ugliness, the comfort, the sorrow, the loving kindness, the anger, the existence or being, the extinction. In short, the mind is the creator of the whole world. The mind means a heap of sorrow, yet he is your best friend. He is the pet who utters consoling words to you. He is the deceiver who covers the right path and shows you the wrong one. Also, he is your savior. Therefore, discern the mind by comprehension. Make the mind your best friend. The way in which you can do that is by relinquishing the mind. When you relinquish the mind, then you would escape from the world as well. Because sorrow knows that comfort is impermanent, sorrow would hang around comfort. What comfort knows and sorrow knows is not known by you, because both comfort and sorrow is the creation of a mind which does not belong to you, which is a stranger to you. You don't know the mind. You don't investigate the mind. But every day you go in front of the mirror and inspect your hair, beard, eyes, ears, tongue, teeth, face, pimples and skin. If necessary, you will take vitamins, apply creams. You examine yourself, beautify yourself, but you fail to examine the mind. The mind of yours which searches for comfort and beauty, examine that mind with the mirror of wisdom. What you would see is not you, but only a great force of energy. Let's comprehend this body instead of reconditioning. Giving up. Chapter 2. If you were to travel around the country, what you could see all around is attractive, elegant organizations or businesses. In the past, other than a barbershop, we did not find such things. Such businesses which add color to the forms and figures, radio stations, television stations with attractive programs to color and make your body attractive, to make things glitter. So many are the programs. Those fashionable men and women directors with such pride and conceit treat their bodies with milk, yogurt, cucumber, carrots, egg yolk, creams, gel and dyes, etc. Take great effort to defeat this body which has inherited birth, decay, sickness and death. To beautify this bodily corpse, to stop the wrinkles, to make it radiant, remove hairs which exist, darken the grey hairs, color the black hairs. Look at these wonderful miraculous actions. Having so beautified the body, polished it with designed fashion, designed bangles, chains and rings, when the body beautifying is accomplished, how beautiful this body turns out to be. These meritorious fashionable ladies and gentlemen live in the present in glory without any barriers to their age. Having reconditioned their bodies, having spent their useful time and lived with pride and conceit, do you know with what degree of fear they live? Fear that thus artificially arranged fake nature of their body, the shape, the color, will be disowned or will fade away. What suffering and effort they undergo to stop this loss or fading. Isn't it this tireless effort that continuously makes the huge growth in the field of attractive programs in those television stations, fashionable castles of clothing and ornaments? The reason for this rise is the worldling has the fear of diminishing and loss of such forms, their shape, color, luster, rhythm and charm. Irrespective of age differences, the world has fallen to that sickness. They are searching for that which is not to be found. Anything is impermanent in its nature. Hence, what belongs to them is only suffering. Fashion houses, attractive programs, curd, cucumber, carrot, egg yolk are all formulas and memorial monuments of suffering and ignorance. If one were to go in search of those, then he is helpless and completely impoverished. To get out of suffering, he goes after the Mara who creates suffering. To be released from birth, decay, sickness and death, he goes in search of birth, decay, sickness and death. Those who talk only about the enjoyment of form, rupa, those voices of ignorance only drive you from suffering to more suffering, not to extinguish suffering, not for satisfaction. If there is interest in you for release from suffering, for ultimate satisfaction, then you must not listen to the voice of ignorance, must not be its slave or its prey. You must have met many wise men and women who march the path of Dhamma. There are those who have not fashioned this body artificially or not distorted its nature. Clad in white, well restrained and pleasant, they live among the society with a calm nature. When you see them, one may imagine that it must be so in the heavenly worlds amongst the gods and goddesses. They are that pleasant and attractive. Their beauty and attraction is the meditation on the virtues of the Buddha, metta meditation, path of dana and sila. Form means death, form means disease, and form means birth. Fashioning, beautifying or designing such a thing is just the same as fashioning, beautifying or designing death, birth and disease. See how inefficient or unclever we are? In fact, there is nothing to be surprised. When the grandmother dies, having lived 80 years or so, her coffin is placed in the middle of the hall and lit with multicolored bulbs, thus showing the greyed hair, wrinkled skin and swollen face very clearly. Even though they would say the grandmother's face is beautiful and the face has a smile. See how we praise the birth, decay, disease and death? Coloring the graying hair on the head, creaming the wrinkling skin, shadowing the eyes, painting the nails is like attending to death and disease. You must reflect thus. A bride who has to step onto the bridal podium before noon, when the beautician decorates her, it means he begins to conceal, cover and suppress her birth, decay, disease and death from the early hours of the morning. Not only that, she is given advice 1 month prior to the wedding how to cool her body, to beautify, to be pleasant and to be radiant. What is this effort? Not to show the reality of birth, decay, disease and death. However, she is not shown how to develop loving kindness, metta, to keep her mind at ease. See the work of Mara. Along with the evil effects of the form while relishing the enjoyment, even metta is not taught. In the midst of the guests, approaching the midday, being tired, fatigued, without rest, the bride's sweat and tears now pour down, and dissolving the powder, thus show the signs of birth, decay, disease and death. Once again the beauticians begin their work to conceal all with further creams and powders. However, back at home, the bride and the groom see each other and show each one signs of reality. All that beauty is not as beautiful in reality. And does the bride or the groom grieve about that? Not so. The birth, decay, disease and death which are now home is taken as mine. She takes him as mine and he takes her as mine. They come to an agreement. Even if we are to eat salt and rice, we will live so. It means we will take this suffering as happiness. My birth, decay, disease and death you accept. Your birth, decay, disease and death, let it be mine. Let alone the suffering which belongs to one, even the other suffering is taken as mine. In the name of marriage, what happens is, going towards happiness, you have moved to own a mass heap of suffering. In effect, you have not really brought a bride home, but suffering and what belongs to suffering. What is the cause for this stream of suffering? By taking the form as mine. What then is the form? Form is the body of a venerable monk or a man or a woman. Based on what does this body survive? On food, water and medicine, etc., and so it must be. What is it made of or based on? On what does it exist? Because of the hardness, wateriness, warmth and airiness of the four great elements, namely the solid Patavi element, water Apo element, fire Tejo element and the air Vayu element. By the nature of these elements, the body has formed. The elements do not exist individually at any stage in any single part of the body. One cannot take them separately, as this is the solid element, the water element, the heat element, or this is the air element. As an example, if you take a piece of flesh from your body, this piece has all the four elements. Its hardness is the solid element, its blood is the water element, its warmth is the fire element, its air element is the blood flowing due to pressure. Therefore, this piece of flesh has all four elements. Normally, we would call it the solid element, but this piece of flesh contains the other three elements too. Similarly, take a portion of urine. Normally, we would call it the water element, but the impinging effect is the solid element. The warmth you feel is the fire element. The nature of flowing is the water element and the forming effect is the air element. This shows the urine contains all four elements. Any form which is personal or external, the nature of all form is as mentioned above. But our discussion is on the personal form, which is your body. Now it is clear to you that body means form, and the form consists of the four great elements. These four elements always remain in difference or changing. We perceive this change as impermanence. Birth, decay, disease and death are the symbols of change or impermanence. The world's fastest process is the impermanent nature of form. However, much the world has progressed technologically. Even to think of taking a photograph of the speed of change in the form is foolish. Why? Because the velocity of change in the form is such that it cannot be perceived by this fleshly eye. Only through the eye of wisdom, Panya, can one perceive this. If one sees the velocity of change through the eye of wisdom, then he sees that his own body changing at the same speed. Through comprehension, he gets disgusted and then he gets freed from form, Rupa. A monk who has comprehended impermanence of the body, form through the eye of wisdom, in a moment's reflection of impermanence could make a huge rock to a microscopic nature and view it as air element which floats in the air. He could view this rock as a smoke floating away due to the velocity of the speed of impermanence. The one who sees this velocity of impermanence without a semblance of doubt will be freed from the desire for form. When the four great elements are undergoing change in the above manner, a subtle space element forms among those elements that are interrelated. This space element can only be seen through the eye of wisdom. This fleshly eye cannot see the space element. Normally, the space element is described as the space between the ear holes, nose aperture or the navel. But this is just a primary understanding of the space element. The real rising and falling of the space element is created when the velocity of the rise and fall of the four elements are seen. This space element must be seen through the eye of wisdom. Here is a simple example. Go near a table and place your palm just over the table. Then straighten one finger and make this finger touch the table and lift it. Continuously touch and lift it. Now increase the speed of this movement rapidly and you will recognize the finger is touching the table, but you don't recognize that it does not touch the table. This is due to the speed of the movement. The space element is similar to that. Due to the velocity of the four great elements rising and falling, the fleshly eye cannot conceive the space element. Now the formation of the space element due to the velocity of the four elements of solid, water, air and fire will be clear. If so, by taking this body as mine, belonging to me, then having beautified and fashioned it, to whom does this body really belong? Is it to you? No, it belongs to nature. How do we declare that this body belongs to nature? Because it is a part of nature and formed by the four great elements of solid, water, air and fire that form nature. It means that the sun, moon, stars, clouds, mighty earth, trees and bushes, devas, brahmas, animals, all of them are formed by the four great elements. Now do you comprehend that nature is made of the four elements? The real ownership of nature is the impermanence. Nature means transience. Now prove it yourself that your ownership of your body belongs to nature. Begin to think in this manner. This monk would pass away, and when he passes away, the people who served him would cremate his body. They would burn it. When his body is being burnt, you don't address the burning fire as the monk. You call it the fire element. When this monk's body is sizzling and burning, this fire burns due to the fat in the body. When the fat surfaces to the skin and keeps burning, you don't address the fat as the monk. You call it the water element. We don't address the smoke which rises to the sky from burning fire as this monk. We call this smoke air element. After the body has burnt, we don't address the ashes and the bones as this monk. We call it the solid element. Then carefully observe that body of the monk carried for long years. To whom did it belong? Finally, where did that body end up? To nature itself. To the nature of the four elements of solid, liquid, air and fire. We then only see the nature of impermanence in the monk, in the fire, in fat, smoke, bones and in ashes. It is only the diversity of the four great elements. Put forth effort and align to see yourself in this manner to one's own life. What belongs to nature, what belongs to impermanence, to fire, to smoke, to ashes, what belongs to fat. Having claimed ownership as mine, as ours, as our husband, wife, father, ownership as our mother, we suffer immensely. So are we, the unfortunate human beings. What surprises more is not that fact, but the fact that having claimed ownership of this body, the multitude of demerit we acquire. We give self-respect to this body, give the first priority, be noticed, give comfort. Through the three doors of thought, speech and action, acquire a vast amount of demerit and fall into the four hells. Isn't it so that we fell into such an unfortunate state because we claimed ownership of something that does not belong to us but belongs to nature and to impermanence? As mentioned earlier, The bride and the groom, to overcome birth, decay, disease and death, are nourished with yogurt, egg white, curd, cucumber, carrot and so on and so forth, are nourished by fashion designers to be given in marriage. You must reflect that all this effort to decorate is to give comfort and pleasure. This comfort and pleasure is given to the fire, smoke, ashes and oil, which does not belong to you. Therefore, you must be wise and clever that, by inclining towards caring for the body and protecting this body, no demerit is caused. Why do you claim ownership to that body which belongs to fire, smoke, ashes and oil, and lead to the state of suffering and the way to hells? Constantly reflect the above nature of things and set forth effort to comprehend and understand. Now you can see, having claimed as mine, you nourish, wash the face, bathe, cleanse, medicate, and bestow leadership, ministership, president, high priest, etc. to nothing but that which belongs to fire, smoke, ashes and oil. If so, then what you saw as your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, hairs, nails, teeth, skin and flesh, and then as fire, smoke, ashes and oil, are different states of the elements changing. It's their impermanent nature, and this nature of impermanence does not end here. The fire, smoke, ashes and oil also go through the same nature of new birth, decay, disease and death. Why so? Because they too are forms of the four great elements. Just the same way your body will turn into fire, smoke, ashes and oil, similarly, the fire as the fiery nature, smoke as the smoky nature, ashes as the ashy nature, and oil as the oily nature do not remain. Due to the impermanent nature of form, they too change. They change to vapor, wind, clouds, rain, mist, and dust, and the trees, fish, and animals depend on them. See the transformation of things which has taken place from your body that you beautified with all those substances mentioned earlier. While you were walking in the street, imagine you are faced with a smelly garbage dump. It's nothing but a rotting body of a human or an animal, which in the past assumed the body as mind. This is the changing nature of the elements. He would have adorned himself with gold and silver. Look at the mighty ocean. Every drop in it would be the tears flowing from the eyes of all beings, blood and sweat of all beings. When the body burns, the smoke which emanates collects as vapor, forming clouds, then pours down as rain. Every drop in the ocean in the past would be from a human body. What we see as the ocean is the ever-changing nature of the four elements, the impermanence of the form, Rupa. The world's most beautiful actor or actress, at death, if their body is burned, that body unites with the rain, with the water, with the earth, with the air, and even unites with trees and leaves. Then isn't it this same impermanent changing nature of this body, the rain, the sun, the water, the air, in short, the nature is made of? Just as much we pronounce, due to blood, our relation with the mother, the father, sister, brother, uncle, auntie, grandpa and grandma, so are we related to the rain, the water, earth, trees, etc. Why? Because in the past they too were made of our body, flesh, blood, fire, smoke and ashes. Reflect on the human body. Due to the impermanence of the elements of the eyes, ears and the body, it changed to clouds, water, earth, ocean and trees, and even to garbage. This nature repeatedly changing without beginning or end drags on like a circle. Just as the rain, clouds, fire, or the earth does not belong to you, your mother, father, brothers, relatives, sons and daughters, do they belong to you? All this is a diverse nature of the four great elements, and this diversity is due to impermanence. Therefore, this body belongs to four great elements, the four great elements belong to nature, and the nature belongs to impermanence. How can we claim ownership of that which is impermanent? You must comprehend the above nature and see things as they are. Then through comprehension, understanding and seeing thus, you will be disgusted. Because of this disgust, you will begin to disown and let go of this body. This disownership brings you freedom, the world's most supreme Aryan freedom. Is it worth to push this body if the mind cannot be stopped? Giving up, Chapter 3. Lord Buddha has declared to the world that not knowing of four things is the ignorance of the human being. These four things are the suffering, the arising of suffering, cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Due to the ignorance of these four noble truths, the beings are subject to birth, decay, disease and death, and they strive relentlessly to maintain this body in a healthy state. You must have seen men and women running around every playing field, bodybuilding gymnasiums, walking paths, on the roadways and even on the grassy fields. For what purpose is this? This is to avoid birth, decay, disease and death. Fastest runner in this world is the cheetah. These animals die in their tender age, young age and their middle age. They too meet the birth, decay, disease and death. The animal that exercises the most in this world is the monkey, jumping all day long from one branch to another, thus exercising he exists. These monkeys too die at a tender age, young age and in the middle age. They too face birth, decay, disease and death. Therefore, either through running, walking or with exercise can one stop birth, decay, disease and death. The day we begin to stop this running, that would be the day we can overcome birth, decay, disease and death. Whose running do we need to stop? We need to stop that running mind with its desire for this body. The mind with its holding, upadana, when stopped, is the point where the suffering ends. What is it that hides in this running and exercising? It is ignorance. This running is simply running more towards ignorance, towards the world, towards suffering. What we are trying to maintain healthy is a body that inclines towards ill health at every moment. What you are trying to fill up with muscles is a body that wrinkles towards ill health. There never existed or exists a person in this world that by running or exercising got a solution to relieve this body from birth, decay, disease and death. The one who sees that this body is a nursery for birth, decay, disease and death, then having got released from the lustful desires towards the form, is the one who is freed from suffering. Now the common man, Pruthagjana, one who has not realized the teaching, without seeing the danger in the form and its evil effects, is subject to birth, decay, disease and death. And so he grieves, trembles and fears. Beauty will disown me, beauty will vanish, and the good health too will vanish, and so on. The one who has a lean body will build his body and be happy. The one who has a huge body will slim his body and be happy. The fat one will get rid of his fat and try to be happy. The one who lacks vitamins will supplement with all vitamins and try to be happy. What is it that we see in all this? What is in excess we reduce, and what is reduced we adorn. One clings to that which is less, and the other clings to that which is in excess. Where is the limit of all this, the border of all this? And who decides this limit or the border? The decision maker is the common Pruthagjana mind. Having reduced or added, we have gradually reached the borderline of death, and we surpass that border with dissatisfaction. Why? Because we changed our nature without the thought that we will die, but holding on to the view that we will remain healthy and be submerged in health. When that view that is health starts to show cracks, all what remains is dissatisfaction, the fear of death and conflict. In this conflict, neither exercise nor strength nor vitamin syrup will help. What you inherited through all the above is only suffering. During your lifetime, if you only train to gain permanency through physical strength, exercises and so forth, and at the time of death, if this perception appears as the last wish, if you cling to the above states, then your next birth could be in the womb of a cheetah or a monkey. Why? Because the way you wish to be and held on to your life to run happily and to exercise happily. One time when a bhikkhu was in deep concentration, samadhi, he saw this vision. About 200 meters above in the sky, a team of about 20 persons was performing gymnastics on swinging cradle-like instruments. Without any fear and with rhythm, they were descending to the ground and again ascending to the sky. They were performing a dangerous sport without any fear and with ease and comfort. They were somersaulting and enjoying on bridges made of coir. They do not belong to the world of pretas, ghosts. They were a group of people in the form of humans with good bodies, clad in white shirts and trousers. This bhikkhu recognized them as a group of people belonging to the devas, gods. They are those who held to such sports in the past in the human world, and now they have again congregated. They are not a productive deva group, but a group that is just above the state of the ghosts. They did not possess the bright light or illumination of the devas. Their bodies represent the latent nature. It is clear when there is holding, upadana, thus is the way in the future. This is said by the bhikkhu to analyze the doctrine of dependent origination. You may run, exercise, but make sure that you indulge in them without the influence of the notion or the view of permanency towards my body, my strength, my health, my beauty, my personality and my shape, and with the full understanding that all above cannot be won over or kept within you. However, it is not easy to do. The Mara's mind you carry turns you around towards the direction of permanency. Due to the rock-hard existence of wrong view in the past, you even suffer to bring happiness to this body. Those naked ascetics, having rejected comfortable seats while walking on thorny land and sleeping on them, gave much pain to the body. Why was this? They went in search of happiness. Thus they exhaust their past karma. When you compare those runners and those who do rigorous exercises in the present times, one might tend to think that this is a shade of the naked ascetics in the past. Why? Because they too run and exercise in search of happiness in the future. With whatever perception you hold, viewing this decaying body as permanent, through that you will only reap suffering. With whatever effort you take to beautify these muscles, when you catch a common cold or fever or any such illness, in the absence of a week's exercises, the body once again becomes like jelly. The shape too changes. However much you may run and exercise, thus keeping this body healthy, when you have to attend a wedding or some functions with lavish parties or during the festive season, we once again see our sugar, starch and fat levels increased. In whatever direction you try to suppress birth, decay, disease and death, it's like the rubber ball kept underwater. It surfaces as soon as the pressure is released. Those doctors who treat them, those trainers who train them, will give advice on medical aspects and advice on physical exercises. They give such advice while they themselves are subject to the same nature. They too have not escaped from that nature. When they are sick, they too need to visit another doctor for treatment. But the greatest physician who declared the treatment for this sickness is Lord Buddha. Before declaring the treatment to others, he himself got released from birth, decay, disease and sickness. Lord Buddha permitted his disciples to be contented with the maximum subsistence of 2 meals per day, along with 3 robes and the bowl. An often declared noble advice from his sacred mouth is that 1 meal a day gives an incredible lightness to the body. You must guard your tongue, be quenched from the desire for taste. Dwell on the impurities of food. Then without any effort, your body will gain a certain degree of health, will get pleasant, will shape well. And so if you give up the greed for taste, to a certain extent it will pave the way to good health. You will experience the comfort of lightness in giving up. The one who is wise should not strive to spend a long lifespan, but as soon as possible try to escape from birth, decay, disease and death, to be released from further birth. If one cannot achieve that purpose, at least make all effort to shorten the cycle of rebirth. Whichever one you achieve, within you make a resolve to overcome the ignorance that there is permanent good health, permanent beauty, or permanent form. However, some even declare that though we exercise or work our bodies, we do so with the reflection on impermanence. Yet this too is a dark Dhamma of the Mara. It is similar to wishing and believing that the joy and happiness in the human and the Deva worlds come to conclusion in Nibbana. This is not possible since they are 2 different natures. Deva world and human world means holding to things. Nibbana means relinquishment. So at the end of holding, one cannot expect relinquishment. This would be a wrong belief which would not be fulfilled. In this cycle of birth, samsara, we walk this journey for many multitudes of eons because we believed and held to such wrong views. We need to come to terms with one of these natures, either to hold on to things or to relinquish or let go of things. The Puthajjana or common man holds or clings to things they like with an incredible appetite for greed. What is the first thing that the human being holds in life? That is the womb of his mother. The first moment when life takes place in the mother's womb as a tiny baby, he clings tightly to the womb of the mother as mine. Inside the womb, he succumbs to a great deal of pain. Being centered inside a balloon, both hands and legs being crouched, lives among the pus, blood, fat, dirt, urine, intestines, vomit, and digested and undigested food. In the middle of all that, and being subject to the pressures of the air element in the womb, the warmth or the heat element in the womb, various fluids or the watery element inside the womb, this tiny baby grows. Even though he grows up in such an indiscriminate environment, he does not dislike living in that manner inside the womb. He does not reflect that living in a womb is suffering. This baby clings to the womb as mine. It's his place of residence. This place he has descended, the womb. He clings to it as mine because of the mighty power of clinging or holding born out of desire. He firmly grips it as mine and sees it as a pleasure, not as a place in which he has to suffer in the manner described above. 9 months passes in this manner, and with much fatigue he is born into this world. What a massive innocent pain the mother goes through to set him out of this clinging. How much the mother needs to strain, how much energy she needs to expel. Why does this mother have to go through all this suffering? Because the baby has held firmly to the womb and takes the womb as his residence, as mine, shows dislike and now refuses to leave it. In the end, it's a tough battle between the mother and the baby. The baby sets forth effort to cling to the womb. The mother sets forth effort to bring him out to the world. During this battle between the baby who clings to the womb and the mother who wishes to see the baby and cling for the ownership of the baby, the mother, who possesses the greater strength, becomes victorious. If the mother does not have this strength, the gynecologist intervenes and through surgery brings the baby out by force. See the following sequence of events. The baby, having clung to the womb, strives to remain so. The mother, through clinging as my child, strives to carry him in her arms and claim ownership. The gynecologist clings to his profession, through surgery tries to bring the child out to the world. The nurse clings to her profession, with care and without calamity, strives to bring the child out to the world. In all these 4 people, what's active is that clinging or holding. What each one held with desire is that which is seen as happiness. In this manner, when the child is born, he yells and weeps while emerging to this world. Why is this yelling and weeping? It's been his residence for 9 months and now he must disown it. It pains him and he fears the unknown. He is shouting due to his helpless state. The mother and the gynecologist together dragged him out against his wishes, and he opposes it strongly. When the child yells due to disowning of his residence, the mother is exceedingly happy to hear his sounds. She sheds tears of joy. Now I have my baby. The suffering due to disowning and happiness through gaining is what both experience. However, the nature of this experience in one moment turns to impermanence. What happens to the child having been released from the womb and later experiences the world? He then clings to the warmth of the mother and her breast. Now the child clings to greater happiness than where he was. He now clings to his mother's warmth and her breast as mine and enjoys his existence. And now if you try to release him from the mother's warmth and her breast, he begins to yell again, opposes greatly. Now you can see the nature of clinging, from one mode of clinging to another. The experience of the womb fell to the nature of impermanence, and he now clings to a new experience. This experience too will fall into the same nature and follows with more clinging to further experience the father, the swing, kindergarten, school, university, job, house, wife, children, grandchildren, and so forth. When one leaves, the next form is there to be held, and he enjoys things in progression and takes them as mine. Be the war warrior without salutation and gun. Giving up. Chapter 4. In the present, even if you were to live in a luxurious house with brand new furniture, very silky bed linen, wearing smooth dresses and having used vehicles worth millions of rupees, and wore gold and silver to make this body shine. In the past, all of us lived in the midst of pus, blood, fat, dirt, urine, intestines, vomit, digested and undigested food, and crouched in the middle of a balloon, having taken as mine the unpleasant surroundings of a womb, holding fast to it with refusal to leave. How many millions of wombs we may have owned in the past? In the end, it is not to be so. There was no ownership. So many wombs we entered and suffered with consent. In the future too, we strive only to enter further wombs and to suffer similarly, and to take birth over and over again. As long as this wish is within you, other than be sons who take the womb as mine, or mothers and fathers who take sons as mine, there is no escape from this cycle of births. Immediately when a baby is born to this world, what actions would you and your husband take? You name the baby, first name, surname and the birth certificate. But why the birth certificate? To make sure the baby is ours, not to be registered as another. Therefore, as per the law, the baby's identity is well registered so that no future contradictions would arise. In other words, you would take every conceivable action for the protection of this child, with the assumption that this child is mine. But you would not think even for a moment where this child came from. Sometimes this child could have been from another religion, from another race, and he may have even been a beggar in the former life. He could have been discarded from his caste and suffered as a social outcast. May have even been an animal, a ghost, a demon, or even a god, or a Brahman. Having been such and such a being in the past, he took rebirth in the womb of a mother. This child even could have been your mother, father, or a relative. However, you have no idea or knowledge that this child you cradle was a being who could have been your mother, father, relative, or even from another religion, from another race, or even a ghost or a god. This is the force of attachment, shamelessness, nakedness, wrapped around by the subtle garment of craving and greed. Begin to think in the following manner: that you were an officer in the army, and as per your rank that you fight to protect the country, race and religion. Due to your fight, many die at your hands. Let us assume that some of those who died were people who were on the wrong path in a different race. Now you feel compassionate towards them and feel that pain, and feel sorry for their parents and relatives. During such time, while these feelings rise and fall within you, you succumb to death in the field of war. Due to the grasping or the holding to that situation, when you meet with such a death, there is always a good possibility that you would take birth in another mother's womb in that very race you happen to kill. Now your new status and acceptance will be as a child in that new race with a new name belonging to that race with all its genes. When this child grows up, he joins the army which belongs to that race and land. He now fights against his former country. Can you imagine what a cheated, contradictory situation this happens to be? For those long years he fought as a soldier against one land, and then as a soldier once again he fights against his former land. He sacrificed his life for two lands. This scenario does not stop here. Due to the grasping or the holding to the same situation, he renews his being. So it can be very well that though you may have fought one war, being aligned to one race with great pride, it surely may have been that you were in the opposite race in the past, fighting the same war. Due to the same war, you may take birth again in the opposite camp, born to a mother in that race. But we see that what we strongly grasped, held, that element called mind, is ever present. Now it should be clear to you how for many eons of years during this cycle of births and deaths in this world, that you would have been a blood relation of every human being, savage animal, and ghost, god, or a Brahma. Through acceptance you may be recognized as different from another, but we all are blood relatives. Yet the world goes into war through racism. They do not know, they do not understand that the war is not in the field of war. Still they think the war is in the battlefield. But the first seed of war begins in the ignorance-filled mind of a human being. War begins in the mind. Why is this so? It's due to the holding born of greed or craving. If someone were to think that the wars in this world can be stopped, then it's just a myth. One cannot stop wars. Either side cannot be finished. However, with the bigger power it can be subdued for a while. Yet it's only temporary. The war can be stopped not by killing the people or killing their view, but only by killing the ignorance in the minds of the people. Death of ignorance gives birth to knowing, which means wisdom, panya. Wisdom means victory over the greatest war in the world. The one who thus attains victory does not toast to such victory, nor does he invite people for dinner, raise the national flag, light firecrackers, nor does he receive the guard of honor with gun salutes. Why so? Because he is the one who has stopped all wars. He no longer takes form, rupa, as mine, and neither clings to it nor rejects, nor is he in conflict with it. He does not go to war over form, does not quarrel. He identifies through understanding that form is impermanence. Not only the war fields, but also the weapons and ammunition, such manufacturing factories and the entire army has been made redundant and left aside. He has not done this through the use of arms and ammunition, only by the use of the weapon called right mindfulness and awareness. He was not victorious by grabbing more land, but by letting go of all. Now you should realize by holding to what did the war at home, the war at the village, or the war in the country started. What you held, let it go. Then the war stops. Yet you will not like it. Why so? Because your vision only sees that those things that you held belong to me and they are permanent. What you have held or grasped could be the country, race, religion, status, job, leadership, or whatever. But all these are of the nature of impermanence, and they are the ones with which you fashion your behavior. The Lord Buddha declares that holding or clinging takes place due to craving. And it is this holding or clinging that drags you to birth, decay, disease and death. Therefore, for a moment, stop this running, exercising or bodybuilding, or while doing it, when at rest, reflect for a moment on what this body is, what this flesh is: nerves, bones, blood, dirt, urine, intestines and phlegm. Is there anything here that we could fashion to our needs? What is there in them for us to fashion, to make, to build, to nourish, or even to decorate? They are not meant for any of those stated, but they are meant to be given up. Let them be. Letting go is the right choice. In the morning you spit out, saying, "This does not belong to me." The mucus of the eye, the body filled with dirt and urine, you send it all out as this should not belong to me. The body filled with air, that too you let out. You wipe off the sweat in the body as that too does not belong to you. In the exact manner the ignorance-filled mind, which tells you that in this body there is a being, a person, and that you must make this being or person be in good health, the muscles must be well built and so forth, must be set aside by saying that too does not belong to me. Release the view that in me is me, in me is a self or a soul. Aren't you ashamed, disgusted or loathsome to take a corpse, a dead body and a ghost in a past life, barbarous animal in a past life, as mine? To identify it as mine, isn't it shameful? If you still do not feel shameful, then you must keep rereading. You are reading about how to be freed from your body, the way to Nibbana, and complete freedom from all. Having thought of this, without being satisfied, observe that satisfaction too is impermanent. The mind that continuously rises and falls, and having seen its impermanence, inclines to the path of Nibbana. Observe the nature of your body carefully. Have you seen a beautiful cock decorated with multicolored feathers? Observe that he has form which is pretty to look at. You must have seen that this same animal, having taken to the butcher, all feathers removed, cleaned up, hangs on an iron hook, or is now in a freezer to be sold. Now what remains in this cock is only the skin and not those beautiful feathers. Now observe your own body. In your mind, genuinely observe the nakedness as if you were looking through a mirror. Is there truly a difference between that cock which hangs in the butcher's shop and your body? Your body is similar to the skinned animal. Put to shame that mind filled with conceit. Make the mind uneasy. Crush the conceit. Just like the cock was beautiful due to his feathers, you were made beautiful by the clothes, jewelry, and perfume you were donned. The body of the cock is externally made beautiful. You are kept further away from the truth, blinded by ignorance. The marketplace is where ignorance is sold. Merchants in the marketplace, having packed ignorance in bottles, boxes and packets, having beautifully labeled them, advertised on television, on billboards and with electrical decorations, go on to sell them. These people's job is to work day and night inside factories and farms to earn money through the sale of ignorance. On one side they manufacture ignorance, and on the other side they pay money to buy the ignorance. According to the society's ability or inability, the manufacturing and the sales qualitative nature goes up or down. Increase and development of the world's commodity and service sectors mean the development, progress and advancement of ignorance. It is the increase of manufacture and sale of ignorance. Now you leisurely think whether you too are a servant of ignorance. These fortunate people, instead of the wasted time and effort on keeping this body healthy, running and exercising, divert that time and effort to understand the nature of your body. This mind which do not belong to you and is always foreign to you, bring it under your control. Develop mindfulness and awareness. The mind that tells you to run and exercise, let it go. Then you will have let go of running and exercising. Restrain the tongue and be healthy, thus gain a healthy body. Observe the ignorance in that. It is not to show the world a healthy body, but to use it to be released from this journey of samsara. Make your body a vehicle to get close to the door of release, Nibbana. Make the way that you are not a cheetah which runs a fast lap, a monkey which exercises a lot, nor be born a ghost which does gymnastics in the air, having clung to exercises in the past. Let there be no distance between you and nature. Giving up. Chapter 5. In this entire system of world elements, if we were to inquire where freedom, as per its exact meaning, can be found, then the answer that can be given without any hesitation is that it lies within the noble Arahat. A venerable Arahat is the perfect image of total freedom. His mind is equated to a pure white cloth. Not even the tiniest needle point of dirt can be found in it. While the venerable Arahat lives in the present, he draws pictures on this white cloth and they get erased at the same moment. He draws again and they get erased again. A venerable Arahat does not accumulate or bundle together those pictures. It's an undefiled paint he uses to draw those pictures. There is no thickness, roughness, attachment, collision, or equanimity in that paint. It is a burnt out or serene paint. Hence his white cloth-like mind, which constantly rises and ceases, is always pure. That mind which does not see a being or a person, having always perceived impermanence, draws pictures that get erased off. Therefore, his life is always light, simple, clear, and open. He is a mirror image of freedom. Those monks and laymen who are in search of Nibbana are in search of freedom of that nature. Freedom lies in life where all attachments are emptied. Having set aside all accumulated worldly belongings, one leaves the household to become a monk. Why have you so arrived, having set aside all such things? It is to let go of all those things that were set aside. Reflect diligently. The gap between setting aside and letting go is as wide as that between the earth and the sky. Once becoming a monk, one must train to let go of those things which were set aside. What are those that were set aside? Father, mother, relatives, businesses, land and houses, social status. In short, you have set aside such things that are binding to the 6 sense bases. To let go of them is to be freed of them. Now the goal is clear. If that is so, one should search for a non-accumulative place conducive for the training of letting go. What is that non-accumulating place? The place where defilements are not accumulated, the place where the mind is at ease. If one cannot find such a hermitage or an empty place, then one should, whilst associating a teacher who develops the path, get to an isolated hut. Those places where one could be cornered to attachments, such as to hermitages, attachment to fellow monks, attachment to conduct, vinaya, attachment to gods or brahmas, attachment to bodhisattva, must be avoided. The nature of such places are only conducive to safeguard the teaching and beneficial for rebirth, and not beneficial for the purpose of attainment of Nibbana. By adhering to the above natures, you will only oppose the path to Nibbana. It still may be your nature to move along with the waves. You have left the fires of the household not for the purpose of riding the pleasant waves of the norm, but to swim upstream of that current. If you were to fail, you will come under the influence of flourishing four requisites, local and foreign, lay and monk relationships, fellow and teacher bonds, etc. Do not get attached or hold to anything. Learn to systematically drop off all that have been held. Think that with age, having understood life, that you are a complete person who has arrived with a purpose to this teaching, sasana. However, you must guard against an overestimation of yourself. You must know that there is a higher conduct than the Samanera conduct or the Upasampada conduct. That conduct cannot be received from someone else. It is self-achieved by enhancing one's own effort towards both Dhamma and Vinaya. Vinaya or Sila is only a tool for the comfortable achievement of Nibbana, but not a rope which is used to tie your hands and feet, nor is it a prop which kills your freedom. Like the paratrooper who uses his parachute for the purpose of descent, make use of the Vinaya for the comfortable achievement of Nibbana. As soon as the trooper touches the ground, he releases the chute. Just so, Vinaya means that which is released after having correctly understood the teaching, and not something which is held hard. Holding to Vinaya gives into its desires. Desires do not lead one to Nibbana, but it leads to more being, bhava. One must carefully watch that one is not trapped in thoughts such as, I am in the Vinaya, or the Vinaya is in me. Sila or Vinaya means mindfulness and presence of mind. Dhamma means the true nature of things. Nature of Dhamma is anicca, which means impermanence. To observe impermanence with mindfulness and with the presence of mind is to live in Dhamma and Vinaya. Vinaya is essential not to make repeated wrongdoings. The Puthagjana mind is of the nature to do wrong. Having clearly understood and seen this, one must weed out wrong conduct. To dedicate oneself to Vinaya is a weakness. Without dedicating to Vinaya, one must remove one's weaknesses with mindfulness and the presence of mind. If there are 100 books written on Vinaya and having stacked them one on top of the other, then on top of all, place a label with the Buddha word, Chetanaham bhikkhave kammam vadami. Intention, monks, is kamma, I declare. If one is not confident, not skillful, is conceited, agitated, suffering from an obsession to attain the fruits of the path, then consider to train under a teacher in a disciplined manner. If not, you will be lost. Do not overestimate your ability. Be intelligent in making decisions. Do not be slow or hurried. Be freed from timetables, pre-planning or set order. In the same natural way the moon, the sun, the ocean and the earth behave without any effort, develop the path to Nibbana with your own natural way with ease. Be a part of nature. Do not keep a gap between you and nature. Compare your thoughts with the sun which rises or the moon which descends. Be a warrior who travels upstream in search of freedom. Having paused reflecting on the qualities of the Buddha, continuously contemplate the reason why you became a monk. Every moment you contemplate in such a manner, you see the Lord Buddha through your own experience. Observe your weaknesses with humility. Humility does not mean timidity or shyness. A bhikkhu should be the one on this earth who chases after the target with all might. There is no clever person in the three worlds who could surpass him. Like the lonely elephant who has taken refuge in the mighty jungle, he himself must search for the freedom he seeks. In this journey, he does not notice the night, the day, the rain, the cold, or the hunger. None so has control over him. Like the warrior on this earth, he chases after the defilements of Mara. The freedom he seeks must be realized by himself. It cannot be done by a god or a Brahma. They only can give their blessings. In your presence, they are a mere second fiddle. Having made this universe tiny and placing it on both your hands, you be the sage, the person who departs this world. This is only possible if you succeed in taking the serious decision in that either death or relinquishment. Then the freedom you search can be meaningful and be attained. Layman's Story. Giving Up. Chapter 6. It would be easier if the household life has been completed before becoming a monk that hopes to pursue the path to Nibbana. If the household life has not been completed, then do not hurry to be a monk for the purpose of Nibbana. The village temple is the layman's safe house. Whatever is the diversity of the monks in the temple, always think that it is not relevant for you. Due to things being impermanent, diversity is natural. We should be surprised if things aren't so. Let go of the mistakes of others. Aspire to move towards your own goal. In the temple, you be everyone's slave and servant. Facilitate for people to freely pay respect at the temple, and mediate to provide the 4 requisites for those who observe Sila. Do not look for others' arrival or their contribution. Tirelessly do all the work towards your own goal. With the help of the kind and loving thoughts which emanate from the others' minds, secretly strengthen your own spirituality. Notice the impermanence in every action you take. Even though you mediate, offer the lead role to others. Practice the art of letting go. Make everyone happy, and with that merit gain strength. Having organized Bodhi Puja, processions, Katina Pinkam, that is offering of robes to monks, alms givings on behalf of laymen and women at the temple, then by seeing only their impermanence, gain strength spiritually. Having filled the stomachs of others, remain without food, but do not indicate that to others. Serve those aged senior monks and gain strength from their blessings. Having dedicated to social service, having served others, gain strength with their blessings. Not leadership, nor profit, nor glory. Remember, your goal and target is the path to Nibbana. You must observe that, however hard and honestly you work for the society, the slightest mistake is met with sticks and stones, with fierce evil. You must observe that criticism, wickedness, and inconsiderateness is the nature of the world. You must think that we should be surprised if such things were absent. While serving others, while making others happy, hearing the merit and demerit, wholesome and the unwholesome, observe its impermanence. Recalling, remembering the nature of the world and taking whatever that can be gained from the world, harness your spiritual development. Do not be reluctant to attend to sick people. View the sick person as a celestial messenger. Nature of the sickly body, the pain that he suffers, the nature of the disease are common to you, and so you must reflect. View that your nature is just the same as his. Attend to his needs, and you must gain strength with his blessings. Once in every 2 or 3 months, visit the sick people in the general hospital, children's wards, and cancer hospital. Walk through the wards of the critical patients. Do not go to embrace the suffering of those sick people. Understand that the voice of those who moan and scream in pain are the same voice as yours. Those meritorious people in the cancer ward, whose hair is lost, whose breasts have been removed, make them the object of your contemplation. View this as the nature even common to the prettiest actors and actresses in the Hindi cinema. If you are constantly harassed by thoughts of lust, then visit the pregnancy ward in the women's hospital. Those mothers who are about to deliver babies and their painful nature of behavior must be observed humanly and sisterly. This will kill your lustful thoughts. In this consumer-oriented fancy world which deceives you, see that every item of food in supermarkets filled with consumer goods that please your taste buds is only to nourish your body. Sanitary towels which adorn the supermarket racks with beautiful packing, we must reflect with wisdom the nature of the waste for which these towels are used. Though we pompously push the carts with filled bags, we must learn to view that what we nourish is only an impure body. You must be skillful to make all these an object for contemplation. If you are traveling in a bus, do not be reluctant to offer your seat to any person in need. If on a long distance journey and if the necessity arises to offer your seat, let that be a gift for yourself, and do not think of the distance to go. Dedicate your happiness towards the needs of others. If others laugh with contempt, simply pay no attention. Gain strength through the blessings of the receiver. You must virtuously plan to skillfully gather strength from the rest of the world towards your path to Nibbana. While getting others to do meritorious deeds, you strive to grow in the path. Make your way to go beyond the world by deceiving the world. Think that searching for Nibbana is the most selfish act in the world. Having relinquished everyone, making everything an object of contemplation, you must make your way beyond the world. If you become skillful to comfortably go beyond the world, you can put forth effort for the virtue and the welfare of the world. Therefore, be selfish in the present so that you can work towards the welfare of the world in the future. Bestow the joy you gain through the above effective practice to the protective gods, devas. In this journey, to avoid obstacles for your protection, make those unseen forces happy and gain strength through their blessings. Put forth effort to relinquish those that must be relinquished. Delay relinquishing those that need not be relinquished until the suitable time comes. Accept the responsibility of not hurrying. Always be critical of your indiscriminating mind. Always probe your mind. Using the eye of wisdom, panya, that is above your mind, you must always engage in a friendly chatter with your mind. The mind that rises and falls must be subtly trained for it to be brought under the clutches of wisdom, panya. You are still a meritorious layperson. Whatever your senses desire, experience it, taste it, and see its impermanence. You still have that freedom. By trying to see the impermanence without having experienced, without having tasted, it is possible that you may be confronted with questions in the future. By tasting over and over again what is most desirous to you, the most liked by you, willfully be freed from that desire. By experiencing those that are desired, understanding, seeing the impermanence, practicing to give up, fulfill the lay life and open the door to monkhood for the purpose of pursuing the path to Nibbana. During the lay life, let your mind dwell in the monkhood. Train yourself thus to live a simple life with the bare minimum of resources. Carefully examine whether you can walk on a stony path barefoot without sandals, whether you can live with 2 robes, whether 2 meals a day would be sufficient, whether you can let go of the most beautiful figure that you most desired, whether you could live having given up relatives and household, whether you have the strength to face up to any challenge that confronts you. If the answer is yes, then now you are truly qualified for monkhood. Firmly bear in mind that the above experience is only suitable for those meritorious people having lived through youth and beyond, having experienced life, and who will strive in this life itself with a strong resolve to develop the path to Nibbana. However, those meritorious clergy who wishes for human Deva Brahma heavenly realms, or who hope to protect and guard the dispensation of the Buddha, the country, nation and religion, must consider that the above path will not be needed. Why is it so? They have been immersed in suffering, wishing for further suffering. It is due to their ignorance and with the hope that there is happiness in the above objectives. Making use of the dispensation of the Buddha that is protected by those venerable clergy, the skillful ones should put forth effort to go beyond and cross over from the world. If you succeed to go beyond the world, it will definitely be a great merit for those respectful monks who protect the dispensation of the Buddha. Make Mara, ignorance, fear you. Giving up. Chapter 7. For a monk that works hard to realize Nibbana in this life itself, it is essential that he has an independent environment. One cannot give a single meaning to this independence or freedom. Depending on the worldly or supramundane necessities, the meaning would change. One can take this freedom as a university education, a teaching appointment, government job, or politics. There is nothing wrong in this, except that there are various views of individuals. However, they are not the freedom that is said in the path to the supramundane Nibbana. The reasons mentioned here are not for those young bhikkhus who train in this Buddhist dispensation, but for those who, while living, understood and seen the suffering of the worldly pleasures, seen that through all these one accumulates only suffering, and thereby are brave to put forth effort to realize the path to Nibbana in this very life itself by establishing the complete meaning of the words, to be released from the bonds of the household. In this dispensation, it is true that there are many such beings. If you are attracted to the path, then the path opens to you. Lord Buddha has proclaimed the right path to you. For freedom to be meaningful, you must think in this manner. I roped myself not to preach to others, not to utter the sermons, not to administer temples and hermitages, not to succeed to the head monk, not to develop perceptions of Deva or Brahma, but to fulfill the path to Nibbana in this very life itself. You must have the strength to think that in this life I must fulfill the path to Nibbana. According to the advice of the Lord Buddha, freedom means to be able to think in this manner. As to the teaching of the Mara, ignorance, freedom means to think contrary to this. As a son of the Buddha, firstly you must reflect that Nibbana is within you, and it is not near the Buddha or with the head monk, neither in the book of sermons nor in the Tripitaka. Nibbana is not in any of those things. Knowledge, examples and the path are inscribed in them. There is no argument about that. If you get immersed in the books on Dhamma, what follows is knowledge, lectures on the Dhamma you learnt and attending to discussions on the Dhamma. Or if not, you will be delicately roaming making offerings in the Buddhist mansions or in the compound of the Bodhi tree. The lay people are very fond of these rituals. Popularity, honor and respect the bhikkhu receives are much. What both parties develop are the worldly defiled Dhammas. They are causes for happiness in the existence of samsara. In the end, the one who left all and robed as a monk sadly ends up as a puppet to keep the layman happy. Here you must be clever to give up, relinquish all. However, you must associate with those even cleverer than you are, those noble friends who have developed the path. And do not avoid or relinquish this until such time you advance to a position of strength. Think and see that the great Lord Buddha is always sitting in front of you. Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana are sitting in front of you, giving you advice. In this journey, you need no further protection than this. Common jargon is to amass. What do you amass? Knowledge, stanzas, sermons, higher Dhamma, preaching. Let go of this entirely. Feel the freedom and lightness. Pursue feeling freed from anything which weighs. Extinction is an operation, a direction. For this operation, what is important for you is the 3 robes, the bowl, and a lonely hut. If you believe that you are fulfilled in sila, conduct and samadhi, concentration, if you have no doubt about your sila, then it is appropriate that you select a lonely hut in the forest. If you do not believe in your sila, then you should not be in a hurry to find that lonely hut in the forest. Your inability to gain strength is a prey for the Mara. In the forest caves, inhumans, spirits and demons would stalk you, would make you sick and would make you a mental patient. Do not retreat. To strengthen you, a noble Aryan friend who has developed the path is able to give you many short objects of meditation. Here, the sila is not whether you are a novice monk or an elder monk or a student of which head monk, but the firm belief that you are flawless in conduct. Have trust within you and with respect to this supramundane Dhamma. At a necessary time, get the necessary advice from a teacher or a noble friend. For your protection, to use it at the time of absolute necessity, it will be more than adequate to know the meaning of the stanzas to worship the triple gem, sermon of the loving kindness, and the Kanda sermon. Let go of all others. As much as you are able to let go, the ease of the development of the path to Nibbana is realized. It is only when you are skillful to let go of all other things that you are ready to pursue the operation to Nibbana. However, if you possess a mirror to check your face, a hot water flask, a blanket to keep you warm, or any other such things, then it seems that you are still not ready. It means all such things are wrapped around the intention of comfort to my body. Let go of all. Until such time, you are not ready. For the one who cannot give up the mirror, it only becomes a joke to advise him to give up his body. But without any doubt, it is possible for you. Repeatedly reflect in your mind upon the Lord Buddha. Nourish the image in your heart and continuously see that you are under the shade of the Lord Buddha. Early morning, during the round of alms gathering, imagine you are walking behind the Lord Buddha. Imagine Venerable Sariputta, Venerable Moggallana, Venerable Ananda, and mentally live with them. In your heart, have discussions with those venerables. Gather their mode of existence to your life. Mentally observe the bodily courage they took to experience and understand Nibbana. Create in your mind the effort made by the great Arahat Venerable Cakkupala. By using the above modes of plans, train your mind towards the march to Nibbana. One by one, breaking the ties from Mara, ignorance, relinquishing what needs to be relinquished, thus prepare yourself. But in the face of the worldly beings, do not behave like an Arahat. If that were to happen, you fall into the pocket of Mara. If you go to behave like that in front of worldly beings, the path will definitely get aborted. If that were to happen, you could journey not towards Nibbana, but towards a mental hospital. Firmly bear in mind, If you are skillful, meditation could lead to the path to Nibbana. If you are unskillful, meditation could turn you into a mental patient. We have met an endless number of such helpless, enthusiastic, meritorious characters. The lack of guidance by a teacher who has meaningfully developed the path is the cause for this destruction. The conceit within you, the obsession to attain the fruits of the path, the hurry to reach the target, the rising feedback from meritorious lay people would be a death trap for you. Let go of the desire for fortunate or sinful, meritorious or demeritorious, tasteful or distasteful worlds. See the impermanent nature of these things. Prepare yourself for the operation of Nibbana. By now, the 3 robes, the bowl, and the minimum requisites to clean your body should be the only things that remain in your hut. Look at your hut again. If there is a tablet of paracetamol in your hut, you should remove that too. You kept that to heal the body, but now you are preparing for the operation to let go of the body. Do not try to suppress the pain. Try to see the impermanence of the pain, the nature of the pain, the fact that pain is a quality that does not belong to oneself. If your body was to feel a pain, drink 2 sips of own urine at early morning. Avoiding the first portion and the last portion of the urine, take the middle portion for use. Do not take more than 2 sips because the acidity of the body will increase and cause an increasing burning sensation. This medicine will minimize your physical pain. Reflect that these 2 sips of own urine is the water you drank last night. Attack the Mara craftily. You become a part of nature itself. Be skillful to transform that nature and yourself are not 2 separate things but one and the same. Compare the huge tree in front of you with your body. View them as just a diversity of the elements. Contemplate again. You are still a monk getting ready for the pursuit of the path. Be as much in solitude and freedom. I must meditate for this long for a day, must break rest and meditate in the night. Set aside such thoughts by seeing that they are impermanent. Make a firm resolution to recollect that I only aspire to, I only set forth effort to breathe out the last breath without having any attachment, bondage or conflict when my last breath leaves this body. For whatever reason, do not think about the Sovan, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahat Magapala. Think that they are defiled states of mind. Let go of the desire towards Magapala. If you pursue with the desire for Anagami, then you must think that you will have wasted your precious life. Think leisurely. Sleep if you feel sleepy. Be simple, at ease, and freely. Indicate to no one that you follow such practice. By observing the impermanent nature of every single form that comes into contact with the 6 sense faculties, do not be in conflict with the mind, body and the environment. You must always think that this battle of yours is with Mara. Every suitable moment you must deceive Mara. Make him fear you. Make him dread you. Earlier it was mentioned for you to mentally live with those great Arhats. That is to deceive the Mara. Now you make him dread you. View those venerable Arhats too as impermanent. See their passing away mentally. View the stupa built upon their relics and mentally see them vanishing too. Now once again deceive the Mara. Visualize and then worship the great One Valley Stupa, Kirivihara, sacred Mahabodhi tree and the sacred tooth relic. Now again make the Mara dread by seeing the impermanence of all those revered sacred objects above due to their destruction by climatic changes, due to wars and with passage of time. Having seen their impermanence, seen their ceasing, little by little gain authority over Mara. Make Mara tremble by seeing the passing away, seeing the impermanence of all world elements. Make him dread. Now this alone should be your duty. Having deceived you for an unfathomable period of eons, having driven you into the four hells, into human and deva worlds, having taken authority over you, now turn the tables on this Mara. Little by little twist the Mara, the ignorance who held authority on you. Similar to a boxing contest, having slowly but surely given blows to your opponent, and tactfully taking blows in order to tire and wear out the opponent, and then by giving the final few blows to completely dismiss him. Just so, craftily, tactfully, deceive the Mara until dismissed. All the forms, rupa, that become food for your senses must be seen as impermanent, must be seen then and there when they arise and pass away. Those which are seen, do not evade them. Do not willfully search for them either. Do not hurry, neither be slow. Work within your own nature. On which Magapala am I now, and how long further will I take? Could I do it? As soon as such thoughts of Mara, the ignorance, arise, defeat them then and there by seeing them as impermanent. Do not be in collision or conflict. As soon as a form is viewed, see it as impermanent. If there is an attachment to a particular form, then try to insightfully see through that form, its transparency, the reality of that form. If you practice in that manner, the results will be quicker. Let us take that relevant form as a beautiful woman. View her in the womb of her mother. Having started like a tadpole, having spent 9 months within a balloon in the womb, with endless pains and deathly wailing having emerged to the world, struggling in her own urine and feces as a baby, then a child, youth, and in the middle age to old age, view all above forms of her. The beautiful form you saw in her, make it a skeleton and see it. View the manner in which this skeleton carries the intestines, the veins, and the flesh. By mentally stripping naked, he saw her form, seeing through skin, flesh, veins. See the heap of dirt that is being carried by the sheet known as the skin. Beauty was neither in that beautiful form nor in you, but in your impermanent mind filled with ignorance. Thus must you see with reflection and mindfulness. 5 holding aggregates, 7 enlightenment factors, dependent arising, 4 satipatthana, are not Dhamma that are learned by heart like parrots, but discern that by seeing all forms as impermanent, and in the subsequent understanding gained when the wisdom, panya, sharpens, the above Dhamma are those that get established in you uninformed. You are still on the training ground. The contest has still not begun. You are still warming up your body for the contest. The more you warm up with strength, the more energy you will have for the contest. This is a battle, a contest against Mara, ignorance, who wields authority on the entire world elements. If this contest is won by you, then you are one who will transcend the world. Here you are engaged in a contest where those Samma Sambuddha, Pacceka Buddha and the Arahat beings contested and became victorious. In this contest, those sons such as Rahula, Sopaka and Nigrodha were also victorious. And so were those women Patachara and Isidasi. If the training is successful, then the victory is certain. Be simple and straight. Be light and easy. Be freed. When necessary, take a rest. If the robe is sweaty, then wash it. Keep the compound of the hut tidy. Do not neglect to be clean, saying that you see all things as impermanent. If things are untidy, what you see is an unfortunate impermanence. That is a force of ignorance. You must defeat that. Be impartial. To see the impure, asubha, be relatively clean and be pleasant. You must not be attached to this state of beauty, you must be clever to be detached. All beautiful forms, rupa, in this world should be your object of meditation. You must be able to view a beautiful actress as an object of impurity, as a monkey, a skeleton. That occasion arose to you because of her beauty. In a world filled with non-beauty, you cannot reflect on impurity and progress. Things change to unpleasantness only if they were beautiful. So the beauty became impermanent and turned to unpleasant or ugly. This simply is the nature of the world. In this manner, when you are honestly and effortfully engaged in the path, then it becomes an invitation to the Lord Buddha. Why so? Because your heart now is a heart with Buddha qualities. Lord Buddha will teach you. Next steps that you should take in the path will become apparent to you as perceptions. Then you will rise up like a massive elephant king. Why is it so? You begin to experience that Lord Buddha has come close to you. You will understand that he gives instructions to you. Dhamma leads you on. At this point, you will understand that the Samma Sambuddha and the wisdom are not two different things, but one and the same. Grow the path to Nibbana. See the Lord Buddha. In this trust or belief is the door to the victory. Through your effort, open the door. If you manage to open the door, you will be enlightened within the world. Then immediately as you close your eyes, you can see the entire world as extinguished. In this journey, even the Lord Buddha would have to be perceived as a skeleton, but for this, do not be in a hurry until you strengthen. Still, you require Lord Buddha's guidance. Until then, be clever to mentally perceive that you are under the guardianship of the Buddha. When the right time comes, it certainly will happen that the Lord Buddha too will be relinquished. Why is it so? Because you will understand that in the Buddha too, there is neither a being nor a person. The value of being the last one. Giving up. Chapter 8. For a bhikkhu who sets forth effort to be victorious with the resolve to realize Nibbana in this very life itself, moral duties or rites are similar to a celestial magical wishing tree. Moral duties or rites are recognized not as building huts, developing drains, constructing more buildings, growing flower gardens, etc., with the notion that this hermitage is mine or I belong to this hermitage. If a bhikkhu honors the rules of conduct, all such things will be fulfilled and provided by the lay people. If it does not happen, the bhikkhu should be contented with whatever is received. And if things are neglected by those meritorious lay people, considering that too as an object of contemplation, as the nature of the world, he must pursue to be freed from the world. For a bhikkhu, the utmost level of subsistence to be at ease is the bowl, the 3 robes and a hut. This minimum resonates the limit of the path to Nibbana. The limit of the path to being, bhava, ignorance, is much more wider. There are many phases of moral duties or rites that need to be performed by oneself in a hermitage. Sweeping the premise, cleaning the huts, activities of the alms hall, attending to those bhikkhus who are sick, activities relating to the offerings in the shrine, attending to the elderly and visiting bhikkhus, are many duties that inevitably must be done by a bhikkhu. For the existence and the cleanliness of the hermitage, as well as for the eradication of the defilements such as one's own conceit, moral duties or rites are abundantly helpful. Those elated by conceit, egotism and pride cannot gain results through meditation. Instead of harnessing the correct instructions given by a noble friend or a teacher who has attained the path, they would try to go above such instructions and think of themselves becoming the teacher. They wouldn't like to listen to others. Walking towards a path to enlightenment, Nibbana, we should be skillful to learn from anything high or low, rich or poor, big or small. The one who is conceited cannot do this, achieve this. The medicine for all this is the moral duties or rights. When you clean the toilet, you should not think that what you're cleaning is the toilet. You should think that what you're cleaning is your mind. When you sweep the compound, you should not think that you're sweeping the compound, but you should think that you're sweeping the dirt off your mind. This is the manner in which you should clean your mind towards the journey to Nibbana. The nature of the Mara, ignorance, is to induce you to give yourself good marks and a good name. You should give credit or good marks not to Mara, but to your path to Nibbana. Your thinking should be that it is for your own welfare that no one has cleaned the toilet or the compound. You should make maximum use of that opportunity. When you ignore such moral duties or rights, you should understand that your mind gets filled up with defiled dirt and filth on a daily basis. The mind which is filled with dirt is a perfect nursery for Mara. At the hermitage, at all times, you should not hesitate to be the bhikkhu who cleans spittoons the most. The bhikkhu who is getting discipline in the path to Nibbana should be at the utmost humility at all times. If someone were to wash his hands over your head, thinking that it is his nature, you must remain within your nature without conflict. You should stay behind all others, and even if you knew 1,000 things, you should behave in front of others as if you knew nothing. Without being a mute, you should be a person who answers when asked a question. In this manner, you should not hesitate to proceed staying behind others. The one who stays behind can always learn something by observing those in front. The diversity in merit and demerit, virtuous and the non-virtuous, nature of behavior, nature of movement of all those who walk in front can only be observed by the one who proceeds behind others. You should discard their good and their bad. You should see that in everyone there is only the diversity of the four great elements. Make maximum use of the opportunity arisen of being the last. You being the last, thus having the opportunity to see all those ahead, and those ahead of you being unable to see you, must be considered as a fortune you have received. When in these worldly elements a human being's most supreme journey is innocently undertaken by you, the elderly bhikkhus will inquire thus: though you are robed as a monk, you seem to have no knowledge. Are you contemplating to disrobe? In such a situation, pretend that you have no knowledge. If you go to indicate that you know, then what grows is only conceit. So is the work of Mara. Do not be disturbed. With humility, listen to what those elderly bhikkhus say to you. All these activities do not belong to you, hence let go of them. The things that belong to others, do not make them yours. This process of letting go must only be known by you. If a second person gets to know, then that is the functioning of Mara. Nibbana is a journey which you must walk alone. This must be kept in mind. In the final lap, you relinquish yourself, and that moment is the end of being, bhava, the journey that comes to the end of bhava. Without hesitating, you should know that the one who provides the fare for the journey to this victory is none other than the moral duties and rights. The path's fare is the humbleness, the humility. The utmost level of humility is the ceasing of conceit. It must not be forgotten that the spittoon which collects the betel leaf spit, the toilet which collects the urine stains, a dining hall which collects cobwebs, all such things consist of factors necessary for the purpose of Nibbana. It is only when you arrive at the peak of humility that you can experience the ceasing of conceit. Mara's ornament, giving up, Chapter 9. For the alms giving, there is about 2 kilometers to walk to the alms hall in a hermitage in the wet region which is infected by leeches on a rainy day. The road to take consists of stony paths, hills and valleys, and with dangerous serpents like Telkaravala or Kunakatua. A bhikkhu who wears sandals enquires in the following manner from a bhikkhu who doesn't wear sandals. When you walk without sandals, don't your feet get sore or feel the stones? Actually not, the other bhikkhu replied. How come? The first inquired. I emit metta, loving kindness, first to all 10 directions, thereafter to all trees, roots, stones, thorns in this forest, and to everything on my way I emit metta. Every stone, root, thorn and branch I meet on this road, with loving kindness, metta, I wish them well and wish them healthy growth. I respect all of them. Then you will feel that some stones, roots and thorns touch your feet and move away without giving pain, said the bhikkhu who doesn't wear sandals. Actually, this is not a miracle. Because you emit metta towards the stones, roots and thorns, you place your feet on them with great care, with the thought that whether it will harm them. Hence your mindfulness grows steadfastly. The feet gets well protected even when you walk on this difficult road. Such harsh bhikkhu conduct is extremely useful to strengthen your path towards Nibbana as well as to strengthen your practice. Here you should be skillful, if not Mara will for sure adorn your feet with a pair of sandals. Then you will say that sandals are suitable for a bhikkhu to adorn. Yes, surely it is suitable. It is allowed in the Vinaya, rules of conduct. But from the day it was allowed in the Vinaya, the usage of sandals became excessive, but the noble arahants became less. Why so? Because when a stone or a thorn hurts your soul, when you trample some mud, a dunghill or some rubbish, the nature of the feeling under the soul is not known by the one who wears sandals. When the smooth soul feels the comfort of the touch of the sandals, what you are indulging in is the craving for happiness, since the feet are protected, and the speed with which you walk. In this speed too, what you find is craving. Why you speed up is to touch something faster and to make it mine. Through craving, what else can grow other than bhava, being? Though a monk lives alone in the jungle where wild animals live, if you are complete in the strength of metta, loving kindness, then you would not meet these wild animals. This is not a miracle, but a nature or the Dhamma of cause and effect. The cause is metta. However, you are not the most skillful one if you confront the animals and drive them away by saying stanzas of protection or by emanating metta to them. You are more skillful if you evade the animals through the power of metta. You didn't move into the jungle to check whether the animals can be tamed by you or to check the might of the stanzas of protection. Why? Because with such efforts you will only give rise to defilements within you. You will feel a heroism assigned to you. You who entered the jungle to give up the mind now will frequently narrate heroic stories about the mind. This is a stumbling block for the path to Nibbana. These are among the reasons for the scarcity of people who attain to Nibbana in the present times. We moved into the jungle not to be a Mahat or to be snake charmers, but to make Mara, who intoxicate us with this world, dance, twist and turn. If the Mara attempts to make you a heroic character in this world, then you should be skillful to defeat such thoughts of Mara. It is not to be a hero or to be a character in this world that you must set forth effort, but to transform that effort to relinquish all, the hero, the character and the world. Thus you must train. If that does not happen, then the jungle and the solitude too would become just another city. The fault does not lie in the jungle or in the solitude or in the city, but it firmly lies in you. You must let go of yourself, then all above will be relinquished for you. Every individual who strives to attain the path to Nibbana would need to dwell in metta to one's own self. That can only be done if a willful effort by you is set in motion to transcend this samsara, the state of existence, by seeing this dreadfully bitter, awesome suffering of the existence. This is the most superior metta one could do to oneself. If one is successful in transcending the existence, then this superior metta can be emanated to the entire world. However, you too are helpless. If in this cycle of existence you too are subject to birth, death, disease and old age, and while remaining in such state, to emit metta to others is not in the field of wisdom. Prior to the effort to emanate metta to the world, bestow metta upon oneself. It can only be done if you were to understand your predicament, helplessness, and your destituteness in this world. Mara's Policy. Giving Up. Chapter 10. The Lord Buddha emphasized that the one who developed the path to attain Nibbana must be disciplined within the middle path. With only the 3 robes and the bowl, and living near the roots of trees in secluded places or hermitages, the bhikkhus in the past dedicated themselves to be released from the suffering of samsara. This the Buddha declared as the extent of the middle path for those bhikkhus who strive to transcend the samsara. If one wishes to, according to the length and the breadth of one's own defilements, can interpret this middle path. In this teaching, sasana, there is ample freedom for it. There is also freedom for criticism, and there is nothing wrong in that either. But the results of transcending the samsara will not be as expected or desired. For those bhikkhus who carry the bowl on alms begging, the manner in which to obtain even the requisite razor or the piece of soap from the lay benefactor in accordance with the Vinaya has been clearly specified within the practice. Here lies the true meaning of the middle path that will come to fruition as implied by the Buddha. For the bhikkhu to be contented with and depend upon whatever is received from the alms round is the middle path. Storing dry rations in the storeroom of the hermitage and in the alms round if one is not able to find tasty, oily, spicy food, then to cook by oneself is certainly not relevant to the middle path. However, the Vinaya conduct gives complete freedom for it. and to make use of that freedom to the ultimate extent is also not wrong. The Vinaya is there for the unskillful. The skillful one is contented with whatever he gets. The bhikkhu who strives to attain Nibbana is not one who either amasses or collects, but one who lets go of the remainder once his hunger is satisfied. There is no tomorrow for him. He lives constantly in the present. In the present times, such meaningfulness could be a satire, or could even be criticized. Not only in the present times, but even in the time of the Buddha, such meaning had attracted much criticism. So what more can be said about today? However, it should be unquestionably, indisputably accepted that even at this present moment, there are a large number of those sons of the Buddha who develop the above path, who strive, endeavor, seek refuge or a way to develop this path, living on this earth. Those venerables are not media personnel who go about publicly proclaiming that they live by themselves in the thick of the jungles, or that they live dependent only on old robes and the alms round. Those venerables live with even the above minimum, not to grasp them, but due to the inability to survive without them, because they must look after the physical body until they finish the job of reaching Nibbana. What the bhikkhu should reflectively eat is the food offered by the benefactor. Thinking that the food offered is not tasty enough, and with the craving for taste, getting a tasty meal prepared by oneself or by those dedicated laymen, and then to reflectively eat such meal is not the middle path. Yet, even I admit that it can be done in accordance to the Vinaya. And if someone were to do so, I would not criticize that. These are the natural behaviors of the world and the worldling. We should not collide or be in conflict with them. The one who dedicates himself towards Nibbana should free himself from perceptions such as storeroom of the hermitage, gas oven, or the hot water bottle. These are forms of Mara that awakens your craving for taste. Between the middle path and the world of sense pleasures is also an extreme. It is neither the middle path nor the path of sense pleasures. It is a combination of both, a mixture of the two. It is just like the equanimity between craving and aversion, or binding and colliding. In equanimity, there is both craving and aversion. In the above situation, there is a nature of exceeding or violating the middle path, and a nature of grazing or touching the world of sense pleasures. Let us call this the policy of Mara. Training in the Mara's policy, seeing it as the middle path, we go in search of Nibbana. Although the cow stays with the calf, if you were to milk the calf, you will not get any milk. This is neither the cow's fault nor the calf's fault. It is your fault. However, the cow and the udder are both in front of you. If you remain tying the cow with the rope of Vinaya, it is fruitless. There is also no use of collecting cow dung or urine from the cow. You should be skillful to collect the 5 products of the cow. It is only through comprehending this you become skillful. The way to this is the true middle path. If you dedicate yourself to develop your practice bearing the 3 robes and the bowl while living in a hermitage, secluded places or near roots of trees, then the meaningful middle path lies there. Think carefully. Though your tongue lies, the heart would not lie. That you can see only through wisdom. Before you endeavor to be freed from the burden of this world, be freed from your own burden. When you get freed from your own burden, then you will comprehend that all this time what you carried is the burden of the world. The length and breadth of the ignorance of the worldly being, the Puthajjana, who bear the weight of the world which does not belong to him due to the ignorance, will only be comprehended by you once you are freed from the world. If you follow the middle path in a well-disciplined manner and transcend the path to Nibbana, you can make the entire universe delicately fine and bring it onto your palms. Then you will feel that I conquered the world. The power of conquering the world is hidden spiritually inside all of you. What you need to do is to surface that power. If you are apathetic to surface that power in this life, you will have to spend many eons of suffering in this samsara.